Sunday, game day. Let's talk about game day. I had to get out of my chair for this one because I want you to feel what it's like. This is what you've been building up for. I mean, this is what all the practices, all the meetings, all the film you've watched during the week, listening to coaches ad nausea repeat things over and over, the routes, the training. You just want to get out there and play. And now you finally get to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the routine. Well, first, obviously, there's the pregame meal. Probably one of the most important things because we got to make sure we have the right nutrition as we get ready to perform. Now, if you're at home, all the guys would have their own kind of routine, whatever they would eat. My wife was making me pancakes and egg whites. I wanted the protein and I wanted the carbs. Now, if we're away, we got kind of spoiled too because we're in a hotel and we go into the room where the food is and there would just be a banquet of food. So much to choose from, but they made the right selections to make sure we're getting the proper nutrition. Now, we got to get to the stadium. If it's a home game and you're going to get to the stadium on your own, you're instructed to be there no less than 2 hours before the game starts. That is very important because there's always a gate that the players have to come through. And if you show up less than 2 hours, the gate's closed and you're stuck in with the rest of the fans and everyone else. And I've seen some guys do that and they show up late, and that is not a good thing. Now, of course, if we're away, we're all getting on the buses together and we get the police escort. Police escort. I love that too because I get kind of spoiled because the police escort would always just take us right up to the stadium. We didn't have to wait in lines or deal with traffic, and I think that kind of spoiled me over the years because now I don't even want to stand in lines or deal with traffic when I go to sporting events, but it is what it is. Now, when you first walk into the locker room, I mean, that's when it starts to happen. That's when you get the chills, the adrenaline starts boiling because you know you're getting close. Because the first thing you see is your uniform. It's clean, your helmets are polished. I was a Nike guy, so I had brand new Nike shoes, Nike gloves. I wanted all the new stuff. I like to just break them in the game. And you see your uniform, you're like, okay, we're almost there. It's almost time to get in that. It's almost time to start playing. What's interesting, though, most of the guys would kind of pause and they would sit at their locker and flip through the game day program. Every game there's a game day program, and it's like it was part of our routine to sit there and flip through it because you want to see what's being highlighted within your team. You want to look at your opponents. You always look at, the stats and the pictures of the guys that are covering you, what they look like and what they've done and all that. And I think that was just kind of more of a formality before you really begin to start the physical preparation of getting ready for the game. Because from there, guys were getting treatment, you're in a jacuzzi, you're stretching, we had chiropractors now, so you might get adjusted, massage therapists. We're doing all those last minute things to our body so we can perform at the highest level. Now there is, I guess you could say, a routine or let's see, when guys go out to the field, if you've been to an NFL game, you'll see guys come out in different stages and all that. And this is all kind of choreographed. It's all planned and scheduled and so forth. I mean, early on, you might see some guys go out there and kind of run around, and they may just have their pants on and not their helmets and their pads. But eventually what happens is all the positions start going out, together. And they're going to have their helmets on. They're going to be fully dressed, basically. They'll go out there. You'll see like the wide receivers come out. You'll see the DBs. You'll see the kickers, the quarterbacks. And when they go out, they're going out there specifically to start their pregame workout, their pregame warmup with the quarterbacks, because we're immediately going to start throwing routes and so forth. I mean, that was a real crucial part for us because that pregame warmup sometimes could almost dictate your confidence going into game time. That's why I always try to catch every single ball during pregame, and sometimes you might drop one or two, and it could rattle you for a second. But you made sure you had a nice, crisp pregame warm-up. And once you see the rest of the linemen and everyone else on the side, we know that it's the full pregame warm-up, and everybody's going to get together, stretch, run some routes, go through plays, do kicking, a couple walkthroughs, and then you're out of there. I mean, it's basically game time. You go back into the locker room, and this is where it's kind of quiet. Guys are just sitting there focusing. I mean, they don't want to be disturbed. They're just zoning in, got that laser focus on what they need to do, and mentally getting ready. And then the coach the last speech. You get your last rah-rah speech, your speech of motivation from the coach. He says something, always says something inspiring. You come in, you scream, you yell, you do all that, and then it's time to get on the field. Now, if we are being introduced, now this is the difference. Let's say, for instance, I'm on offense. And if the offense is being introduced, then I'm basically going to be going to the tunnel with the starting offense. And we're all going to be introduced one-on-one as the rest of the team comes out. Obviously, there's a little difference in the response from the audience because if you're home, everybody's cheering. If you're away, everybody's booing. But it's always been kind of cool, though, when they announce your name and you run out of the tunnel, you run through, high-five all your guys and all that. But that was always kind of a thrill. Game time. It's time to start the game. And when that first kick goes off, it's time to perform. It's time to do what you're there to do. And believe me, everyone is ready. After the game, let's stay on the line of a schedule. That's what I wanted to do this vlog. I wanted you to see what it's like every day. We won't talk about the particulars of the actual game. I'll save that for another vlog. But once the game is over, and this is pretty interesting because the climate in the locker room is either going to be positive or negative. And if you lost, it's not a happy place to be. If you won, it's exciting. There's just so much excitement after a victory. But no matter what, the coach still talks right after the game, gives a speech, gives us some instructions, whether we got to be in early or practice tomorrow or whatever. But what's interesting, and this was something that kind of caught me by surprise, is that there's no one in the locker room but the players. And once that speech is over, the doors open, and here come the reporters. Oh, man, they come flying in there, and you guys know what I'm talking about, you reporters. They come in there and start doing their interviews, trying to... they realize that guys are kind of emotional, they're worked up, and they're hoping to get some good feedback, some good responses from the game. But that was always kind of cool to at least participate in that. And then, of course, if you're injured, treatment. Get to the treatment area. They're going to dictate or write down whatever your injury is, and that means you're on the injury reserve or injury list. You need to make sure you get in for treatment. And once you do that, that's it. It's time to go home. You might leave. There'll be some fans out there signing autographs, but that's really it. And most of us just go home. Some guys do other things. I had no more energy. I mean, you're exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically, because you just gave all you could during the week and within that game, and now you get the rest. But guess what? You get to do it all over again tomorrow. So for those who are wondering, that's an NFL schedule. That's what happens during the week, during a normal week. So it's not just sitting around, practicing a couple hours a day like I thought. It's pretty much all day, every day. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that vlog.